To me, Outlaw Star is just one of these shows where as soon as you watch it, you are filled with nostalgia, and the crazy thing about that is, I've never seen Outlaw Star before, but the reason why I feel that way is because it embodies the essence of the era that it came from. And I know this is gonna sound crazy, Bob, why have you never seen Outlaw Star before? It's a great anime. I never watched Toonami, so I really came into anime a lot later than probably a lot of you here, and even though I've already seen almost 700 anime series by now, I still haven't seen this one, and it was just one of those shows that had kinda got in my personal environment, and it kind of got forgotten because people talked about other Toonami shows, Dragon Ball Z, Gundam Wing, you name it, but I really didn't even hear about what Outlaw Star was until earlier this year, and all of a sudden when it starts coming back on TV again, it's basically relevant again, and everybody I know is like, what, you haven't seen this? And to me, it was like this close guarded secret that everybody loved this anime, but nobody really ever talked about it.
Jim, give me a number 3. Eat this! Bastard!
So the story of Outlaw Star primarily follows two main characters. We've got Gene Starwind and his sidekick Jim. They're both outlaws, and in this world here, you've got basically three different types of forces out in space. You've got the military, of course, they're the ones upholding the law. You've got the pirates, who are the ones breaking all the laws and going around killing and raping, you know, doing pretty much anything there because they're pirates. They would be what you expect. And then there's also the outlaws, which are just lawless people who do as they please. And that's what they are here, but as the story continues, they actually gain more companions to go alongside them for this wild ride. So the main goal of Gene and his mischievous companions are to uncover clues and eventually find the location of the mysterious galactic ley line. And of course, they're not the only ones that are looking to do this, so of course it becomes this giant treasure hunt basically, but a lot more entertaining than pretty much any other treasure hunt you can imagine. Well, there is One Piece, but I feel like that is a bit hard to compete against. Now, one of the things that make Outlaw Star such a total joyride are its characters, because they have a beautiful character dynamic going on, because you've got characters that are basically just balancing each other out, because you've got Gene Starwind, and Gene Starwind is a total man's man here. He's cussing up a storm, he's just going to all sorts of brothels and stuff, and this is something I feel like anime is in desperate need of, really like men's men nowadays, because in pretty much every anime the guys are afraid of girls. There's not, you know, you won't find that here with Gene Starwind, no. But of course he's reckless as well, as he just flies by the seat of his pants. You've got Jim, his sidekick, who basically balances him out as the brain, and he's much more rational, of course, but even with the side characters as well, they all just balance themselves out. And the same thing goes for the side characters as well, because you'll have Suzuka, who is a total badass female assassin that wields a wooden sword, and it's her job to kill Gene, but she's actually becomes part of the crew, and this is one of those situations where it's just easier for them to keep an eye on each other that way. And she's kind of like, if you've ever seen Samurai Champloo, she's kind of like Jin, where she's got that code of conduct, that code of honor, and she's a very strict and almost a dry personality, but at the same time she still becomes a lovable character due to how she contrasts with some of the other characters here, and like I said, how well she works with Gene, because Gene's just flying, he's just kind of going crazy here. And then you've got this other side character, Aisha, who she is just a wild card just like Gene, and it also creates an extra dynamic where you've got some people who are more just toned down a little bit more down to earth, such as you've got Suzuka and also Jim. But when you've got Aisha just going crazy, just transforming, and she's just somebody that I hated her at first because the sound of her voice, I watched the dub of this, the sound of her voice, just everything about her was totally annoying. But after her first few episodes and she joins up, I really started to love the character, and I enjoyed the episodes that she was there, because I knew this is probably not going to be such a serious episode. Not that there were too many serious episodes in the anime, but I felt like I would get a good laugh out of watching her, and I did. But of course we also have Melfina as well, but I feel like her addition to the story is mostly to aid the mysterious nature of certain parts of the show, because her body has got a bit of a mystery to it.
Hey, what do you think you're doing, scumbag?
I guess you could say in more ways than one here, but I'm talking about like she goes into this chamber and pilots the ship basically. There's also those other things that you're probably thinking about too that I meant. Anyways, this is the type of show that I found to be so enjoyable because it does what a lot of anime try to do nowadays, but not a whole lot of them actually succeed in this, where they basically go down the genre checklist and just check everything off there. And I feel like Outlaw Star works so well because on one hand, you've got a little bit of a character background here where you've got Gene, and he had a pretty harsh upbringing, and something happened to his family, something happened to his dad, and he's trying to uncover the clues behind that, but he's also trying to get a bit of a revenge for that as well. And then there's a little bit of romance here going on as well with some of the side characters, and there's also the deal with Gene going to these brothels and just feeling all sorts of women up. You've got a lot of comedy here as well, as I've mentioned, where the characters play off of each other for very comedic moments. The mystery and sci-fi elements of Outlaw Star work hand in hand because they're going for the galactic ley line. You don't know what it is. That creates a big mystery there, and there's also a connection between some of the characters in that. I don't want to say too much and give away the story here, so I'm just going to leave it at that. So there is a big element of mystery here, and of course the sci-fi. This is set in outer space, and they are going basically across the solar system here and trying to find this galactic ley line, and even just doing missions. They're going from place to place, different space stations and stuff. And in terms of the action here, I feel like the action is in full effect. There's so many different types of action. For one, you've got hand-to-hand combat where some of these characters are just brawling it out, they're duking it out, and then you've got people that are getting into gunfights. But the thing about Outlaw Star and the gunfights is that these are no ordinary gunfights, because you've got Gene with this caster gun that shoots these bullets that fire magic out of them, and these are so rare that only a few people have them. And within their universe in the story, you've got characters who are capable of casting magic, so you'll have this wild dynamic where you've got somebody who is either using a sword like Suzuka, which is even wood, or somebody who is casting magic spells, and then you've got Gene and he's shooting magic at them. So it's just this wild experience all the way around. But it even goes further than that, because you've got these battles in outer space, and this is one of the things where I say this show makes me feel nostalgic even though I've never seen it, because the 90s was, whenever you watched an anime that wasn't too serious in the 90s, it had some crazy stuff going on there, and that's exactly what you get with some of these space battles, because you'll get ships which are called grapplers, and they've got these arms that are coming out, these little tiny little arms. And as a fan of mecha, I love my robot designs, and I kind of cringed as soon as I saw these tiny little arms coming out of the side of the ships and they were fighting each other. It kind of reminded me of like little T-Rex hands going at it, but they still managed to make it exciting, even though it was kind of funny at the same time to watch them do that. You even have characters like Melfina who are struggling with their own existentialism here too. So you may be wondering, how is it that Outlaw Star takes all of this and combines it together and it doesn't fall apart? It sounds like it might be too much, but in fact it's not. And the reason behind this is because I see Outlaw Star as being primarily action comedy. I know other people may see this a different way here, but I feel like the more serious parts of the story, with the tragic background of Gene, where, you know, he's trying to get a bit of revenge here, Melfina, who's trying to understand herself and understand the world, a lot of these tragedies, and also a lot of the feuds that you've got going on here, I feel like are the structure of the series that allow the comedy to work so well, because you actually do care about the story, you do care about the series because of these minor little things, and they don't overpower the comedy. I feel like everything works in harmony here, and if it wasn't for the more serious aspects of the show, it would kind of come off as this nonsensical comedy show, and I feel like it's so much better because of it. When I say that Outlaw Star is the embodiment of the essence of the 90s, I mean it, because there were plenty of anime in the 90s that had these really weird endings to them. And keep in mind, this is a sci-fi, so as you're learning more about the certain thing that they're doing in the story, you're going to uncover more clues, and it just kind of, it starts to get a little bit weird towards the end. I don't want to go too much into detail about that and spoil you all, but at the same time I will say that it doesn't lose focus of what the story's about, because after it has that weird climax, it managed to end off in a very smooth manner, in a way that I feel is maybe if you're thrown off by some of the things that happen at the end of Outlaw Star, it's gonna truly finish off in a way that I think you're gonna be happy with, because it kind of brings it down a notch to a level that you're more comfortable with when we're talking about about Outlaw Star here. So moving on to the presentation, starting off with the art and animation, Outlaw Star looks absolutely phenomenal. Everything. This is a show which is dripping with style all the way down to the last drop here. You've got the characters, and all of these characters look exactly like you would expect them to if you knew their personality beforehand. Like if you read the story in a book and then you saw the characters, you'd say, yeah, I expected that. Like when you've got Suzuka, who's wearing the kimono, she looks like a very traditionalist person, and that's the type of personality that she has. Of course, you've got Gene, who's a total ruffian, and he actually takes on that appearance as well. It's pretty much what you would expect, and of course, the characters, their faces and everything, they convey all of the emotions. I'm trying to keep a straight face here when I say this. For the majority of the show, they do an amazing job of just conveying the characters' emotions through their facial expressions, but they do have some kind of weird things at the end. They also did a great job when it comes to designing some of these spaceships and the space stations and things. And the spaceships, when they were to move around, the grappler ships, they had these arms that were coming out and they had guns, and when they were flying around in space, beautiful animation. This is something that I really love out of anime that comes from the 90s, because this is something that it's got that grit of the old shows where everything was pretty much made by hand back then, and it really does show here. So next I want to talk a bit about the voice acting here. I watched this in English dub, and I would have no other way when it comes to watching this show. And I'm not sitting here saying like I watched this on Toonami. I just watched this like during this week and probably the previous week, so this is fresh to me, but it's just something about the dub that feels so right when it comes to this anime here. And I know some people, maybe you want to watch this in Japanese audio, and I'm sure that's good too. I can't really say for sure because I just didn't want to watch it that way. I just wanted to watch the dub because it was so good. So for my final thoughts, Outlaw Star was just this total joyride of a show. It had so much action, so much comedy, but it also did so much more as a story that I feel like there's lots of comedy shows out there that are really just lacking that level of backbone, the structure that Outlaw Star has here. So I think this is a show that works so well for a rewatch, for a second rewatch, or even just watching random episodes. So if you're asking me whether I recommend for you to watch this show for your first time, hell yeah, go ahead and check it out. If you haven't seen it yet, you've been missing out. Take it from me here, take it from everybody else. If you're watching this and you feel like, how has nobody seen this anime yet? Tell them in the comments section below how much they gotta check out this anime. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and also share it with your friends, because sharing is really the only way to get these videos out there. YouTube does nothing anymore, so if you share it, I love you forever for that, because that's really getting the videos out there so more people can see these anime. And I feel like when I do these shows, there's all sorts of people that have never seen them before and they check them out because of my videos, so I like to really just expand people's horizons when it comes to anime. That's why I do these videos. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with my anime news, reviews, lists, and discussions. And if you really enjoyed this review, please consider checking out the Patreon, because these videos would not exist without the support of viewers like you. Outlaw Star was chosen by my Patreon community, and if you'd like to vote for an anime that you'd like to see me review, head on over there. Plus there's so many other bonuses such as Discord chats, early videos, plenty of stuff. Go ahead and check it out. And I'd like to say a special thanks to Marcus, Warpbait, Brady the Undefeated Magician, Rob the Durataku, Ben Johnson, and Light Lelouch for their support and making these videos possible. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Have an awesome day.